If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. For man has closed himself up till he sees all things through narrow chinks of his cavern. William Blake. It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. Henry David Thoreau. It's Lo. Welcome to Refine the Machine, and today I want to talk about sight. Now, I'm just building towards something, and I hope this all makes sense in the end. And it might just seem like a bunch of random things, but what I'm trying to do is build something. And hopefully, in the next couple of videos, you'll understand what's actually happening. But trust me, you'll see what I mean. So, today we're talking about sight. So, sight is our ability to see, but also our ability to perceive the world, the ability to take in, observe, not only the environment around us, but ourselves, to see what's going on, to see into ourselves. And that's why I think, and I'm pretty sure we don't consider this sight, but I think that there are at least 5 types of sight. Now, the sight is the regular sight that we have, which is the present moment, what we're looking at, how we're perceiving the world around us right now. Then we have hindsight, the ability to look into the past. Now, how we perceive the past can change our present, which will influence our future. So by perceiving the past as one way, or perceiving things or yourself as one way, you are influencing the present, which is also influencing the future. There's a story in Greek mythology about Prometheus, and we all know Prometheus was the god who brought us fire in the story in Greek mythology. Now, there's another side to this story because he had a brother, and his brother's name was Epimetheus. And Epimetheus gave all animals the ability to have hindsight, the ability of hindsight, the ability to look into the past. And then Prometheus comes along and he sees what's missing. So he stole the power of fire and foresight from the gods. Now, why fire? Why does fire represent foresight? Well, because fire projects, it casts light onto a lot of things. A path ahead if you have a lantern, a path ahead if you have a flashlight. So that's why fire represents projection. That's why when we do something, we call it a project. It's because we are projecting, just like cameras do, just like light does. We are projecting into an unseen path, and we're projecting our idea into a tangible form into the future when it is finished. Now, I say that to say this. Because the past influences our present and then that influences our future, that is the key. We must perceive the past differently. In order to make the past useful, we have memories, and some of the memories are really good, like times where you were playing and having a good time and enjoying yourself and the laughter and the happy moments. But then we have the other side, which is the other, like the darkness, the times where you were bullied as a kid, and maybe something happened in your past that fundamentally influenced you and kind of painted it in a negative way. If you can change your perception and extract the lesson out of that, that can change your future through the present. Now, I think this is one of the most important things because the way we see ourselves, our past, our future is what's going to determine our action in the present. And the other kind of sight is insight. Now, insight is our ability to go within ourselves and condense that knowledge in a way. Like maybe an event's happening and you're seeing it happen and it reminds you of a time where it happened before, and now you have the ability to project what's going to happen next. And it is up to us what we decide to do in that moment. Do we learn from the past and prevent, or it depends what it is, honestly. It's a situational thing, but you can do something different this time. You can learn from the past, bring it to your present, and change the future. Now, this is all about framing. So the frame is the game. The way you frame everything is the game. The game is you are framing yourself as, maybe if something bad happened in your past, you're not a victim. You're a survivor. You're a warrior. You've been through something. And because you have that warrior mindset, you are preparing. And you're trying to be the person that you needed when that was happening. You're trying to become the hero in your own story, saving that 12-year-old version of yourself or 8-year-old version of yourself, being the person that is not like whoever hurt you or whatever may have happened. So instead of being a victim, you are now a survivor and a warrior, because you are preparing to be, and you are becoming the person who you wish you had back then. Then we have attention. See, a lot of our sight is where our attention is, and our attention is our ability or our awareness of something. So a lot nowadays it's really hard to keep attention because there's a lot of distractions. And people think distraction is the opposite of attention, but distraction is actually the opposite of traction. So attention and traction are pretty closely linked, because the more attention you have on something, the more you can give it your all, the more traction you have. If I'm focusing on climbing a hill, but I look behind me, do you think I'll be as good at climbing the hill? That is one of those things. So if we're going straight up and I'm focusing ahead of me and not behind me, I won't lose traction, I won't lose balance, because I'm looking straight ahead. I'm doing what's in front of me, and I'm not letting little things on the side take away the attention, because the energy that you have will go wherever your attention flows. And nowadays it's easier to be unfocused because there are so many things pulling from every direction, and sometimes you have to draw a firm boundary, a circle of some sort around yourself, and create rules for yourself to make sure that your attention is going where you want. And on that same lens, on the same point, that is our input. Now our input influences our outlook. Our outlook influences our output. And I think it's probably even more exact than that. Our input becomes our outlook. If you're always watching negative news, if you're always paying attention to negative news, your outlook is negative now. Your outlook is looking for the negative. But if you were focused on potential and hope and faith, and knowing that the movements that you're making are creating a better future for at least you and your family, then that will give you a positive outlook on life. If you see the good in people and not the bad, or you have to be, this is where it comes to discernment, because you do have to have a sense of people. And some people really have a great ability at perceiving these things that maybe some other people cannot see. You can see things that maybe are like nuanced and hinting towards something. You listen to the words and you watch the way that people move and things happen, then you have a perception of a deeper reality that maybe not matching what is actually happening. So it does take discernment to know the difference. But if you always go into every situation assuming the bad rather than perceiving it, then you are setting yourself up to be always surrounded by that. There's a quote, and it's if it smells like shit wherever you go, check your shoe. I love that quote, because it's like that. If you're always just looking for it, you're always going to find it. If you're always carrying it with you, it's going to be on you. So it's just like that. But we do have to have that discernment, that discerning eye of what is good and what is not. Maybe what aligns with your values and what is at the deeper root of whatever's going on the surface. So all of that will influence totally your worldview. Now, your worldview is your perception of the world itself. Your micro perceptions of the things around you, then the people around you, then you'll start looking at the world the same way. Because your world, for all intents and purposes, is the life you live every day. It is not the entire earth all the time. It is what you're doing day to day. That is your world. And your world can be expanded and contracted depending on where your attention is going. So if you're intent about always focusing on what's outside of you and not what's going on in here, if you're always intent on focusing on things outside and things you really have no influence over or control over, then you might be in a position where you're not putting forth the effort. That's why our perception is so important. Now to the fifth sight. Now, there might be way more sights, by the way. And I'm just going to touch on the fifth sight, but I just want to let it be known that I'm pretty sure after my psychedelic experiences that you can see things that are of a different, a different frequency. You could see things that are not necessarily perceptible in normal life. So that I would call demi sight. Now, dime sight, which is short for dimensional, but dime in Spanish means to tell me. So by perceiving in a tell me sight, and this is probably what the yogis talk about and people who have psychedelic experiences talk about, they're perceiving another dimension, another level of this where you're able to get information that was normally not available to you. And yes, I believe that can go into regular life and like dream worlds and things like that, where you're getting information that maybe you didn't have yourself, or synthesizing information in a unique way in another place. So this is all tied together with sight in general. Now you could argue that that is a part of the mind, but the eyes are a part of the mind as well. It's our perception, it's our way we look at the world. I just wanted to touch on this because this is going to set us up for what happens next. Like I said, this is going to be a series, and once this is at the end, I hope this all makes sense. I hope you see what I mean. I hope you understand that insight can incite great change, that changing your perception of the past can create great change in your present and then into your future by believing, by seeing, by creating a new reality, becoming what you strive to be, looking for what you want rather than what you don't want. And that is, I think, a key. And there's a quote, I think, by William Blake, I think. And it is, when you cleanse the doors of perception, everything will appear as it is, truly infinite or eternal. I don't remember the exact quote. I'll actually put that in the beginning. That way it's clear. But like I said, this is a perception. And once we come to an understanding on this, all great changes happen here. And if you wonder why I'm delving into philosophy rather than some of the other, I mean, obviously, like, there's tangible things that I do, like work out and eat nutritionally, but this right here, my philosophy, is actually what drives all of that. And I love to talk about this because I've studied athletes and things like that. Again, I'm observing and I'm watching, and I've studied athletes like Kobe Bryant, like Cristiano Ronaldo, like shit, Bruce Lee. These people, like, there was a reason behind their greatness. It wasn't just that they woke up great. They had a mentality, a philosophy that guided them through life. And that's why I think philosophy is very important. And that's why perception is important. Because once you can observe and see the way people operate and see where they're coming from and how they got there, then it may be easier. Maybe I won't be a Bruce Lee. Maybe I won't be a Cristiano Ronaldo. But I am a better me for having studied their core philosophies, for having looked at them and watched them and seen how their words and their mindset has influenced their movement, and how they perceive the world has changed, how their impact has affected the world. So this is Refine the Machine. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And please, until next time, make sure you refine. Peace out.